Hello, I'm Bryce Roper, Senior Product Manager for FamilySearch. Today, we're going to be talking about family tree hinting. There are several kinds of hints in family tree. We're going to be talking about research suggestions, about record hints, and about data quality hints today. In family tree, if you were on the pedigree, next to the name, I'm showing here these different kind of hints. There's the little red exclamation mark, the purple hint, and the blue hint. Those all specify different kinds of hints. So from the pedigree, you can be able to see what we're hinting for you. These hints also show up in several other locations within the tree. I'm showing here when you're on the person page, over under Research Helps, we list the hints there, and I've highlighted the Harry Truman and his record hint, and below that is a research suggestion hint telling you that there's a possible missing child. Everywhere where we show the hint icon, if you click on that or mouse over it, you get a description of what that hint is. So for this particular data problem hint, we're showing you that the birth of this person is after the mother's death. So it would be, but you have an error in your tree that needs correcting. This is showing that there are no sources attached. Another kind of hint, these are the record hints, these light blue ones, and it shows you the title and the name of the person in the hint. So let's talk a little bit about record hints. So we have over 1.3 billion indexed records in FamilySearch, and that number continues to grow every day. As of June 2017, we have over 2,200 searchable collections. FamilySearch is always free. You can always come in and search and find all of our records. We have a variety of kinds of records: census, vital records, government records, and obituaries, along with other records, and also hints to some of our partners' records as well. Research suggestions. Research suggestions are just that. They're just a suggestion. We're not saying that the event that we're talking about happens or doesn't happen. It just makes you aware of some place in the tree where you may have some work to do. So for instance, if your person is missing birth and death years, the little purple icon tells you that. There's a gap of 3 or more years between the marriage year and the birth of the first child. That may be totally legitimate. Years ago, 100 years ago or so, that was not as common as it is today. Last child was born 3 or more years before the mother turned 40. Years ago, people tended to have more children and later in life to continue to have children. This last suggestion I'm showing you, couple has less than 3 children. In today's world, that's not a big deal. But 100 years ago, that used to be, families tended to have larger families. So we just provide you some suggestions where there may be a possibility area where you may be working your family tree. Here's some additional suggestions that we give you. A couple may have children. There's evidence of a marriage, but we have no children listed. Person never married. Person lived long enough after the first spouse died to remarry, but we show no evidence of a second marriage. And finally, no sources attached. So those are just some of the suggestions and hints that we give you around the data. Now this last hint we're going to talk about is data quality. Data quality is probably the hardest of the hints to correct. Some people might think of it as a little bit more of an advanced feature or advanced skill knowledge to be able to correct these. But let's go through and show some of these. So whenever you see in your tree these red exclamation marks, these are some of the data quality things that we're hinting about. Birth years before the marriage year. So, all of these things tell you, hey, you have a date wrong, or, birth of the child is after the father's death year. That one could truly happen. If the father died before the child was born, birth of child is after the mother's death year. That one's a little harder to explain. It seems a little bit of an impossibility. Birth of child is before the mother could have children, and we set that age at 12. Child is born before the mother, child born before the father. We see those all the time in our tree, and the nice thing about computers and technology today is that in years past, it was really hard to catch these errors in our tree, but it helps us know either we have the wrong date or we may have the wrong person attached to our tree, and it just gives us an area to focus in on and to look at this. Here's some more of these. Death year is before the birth year. Death year before the marriage. Possible duplicate child. It was not uncommon for people to have a child, and if that child passed away, their next child, they gave it the same name. It happened all the time, but we show you that, hey, we have 2 children with the same name in your tree. and let you make the determination if they truly are duplicates or if they're just different children with the same name or not. So let's talk a little bit more now. I'm showing you a screen from the person page. Now on the right hand side towards the bottom where I've put that red box, there are two hints. There's our record hint and there's our research suggestion. I've highlighted the show details. If I click that show details link, it opens up these two hints and several things that we can do here. So I can see two hints. I can also see that I have dismissed hints, 0. If I looked at one of these hints like the research suggestion and determined, hey, this is not valid, don't show this to us anymore, I can dismiss that hint. Or as I've highlighted on the right hand side, I can review and attach. Or I could truly mark this as not a match. So on a record hint, this hint for Richard Bateman in the English births and christenings, they're saying, hey, we think this record matches the Richard Burton that we've highlighted above. After you look at it, you can make a determination that these are different Richard Batemans. This is not the Richard Bateman that's in my tree. You can mark this as not a match. And then it'll never be hinted to you again, or it'll never be hinted to anybody again to say that these are the same. Now, you could determine that you made a mistake on that and come back, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. So in this screen, I'm showing you for Hugh Sidley Gowans. You can see the dismissed hints too. So the suggestion was that there's possibly a missing child. The person that looked at this said, hey, we've done all the research, and through some other histories that we have, we've determined that there are no children missing. So he marked this as not a match. Dismiss this. Don't show this to us anymore. Thank you for the suggestion. We did our research, did our due diligence, and determined this is not a match. So, but you can always come back and review these if you determined you made a mistake later on. This is showing for Mary Jane Angus that there were no dismissed hints for this person. So you can always click and see if there's anything there that's been dismissed by others if you're just curious if other people have done this and you wanted to see. If you want to see who's dismissing hints in my tree, in the common family tree, you can always click and go and see those. Now, we've been showing you the person page and the pedigree view. I want to talk just a second about the descendency view. So at the top of this page, you can see I have descendancy highlighted. There are fan chart view, the pedigree view, all of these different views that you can see. And notice on the left-hand side, all of these hints that we're showing. So I have the 3 colors of icons there, the blue, the purple, and the red. If I click the show button, that's everything that shows up there. So I can see my 3 hints. And I can also say, hey, we want to show you portraits and spouses as well. Notice I don't get a lot of information on this page. If I uncheck portraits, you'll notice now the portrait's gone away. There it is, now it's gone, and I get so much more information on the page. And I now have all of these record hints, record suggestions over there, and I could mouse over those, get the title, click on, review them, and attach them to the tree. And I want to talk about Clarence Merrill for just a second. You'll notice Clarence has a record hint and a research suggestion, person may have had children. If I scroll down on Clarence's page a little bit to the family section, I see Clarence, and he does not have a wife or a spouse added to him. I can see his parents' name, and I can see that he has a sister named Ida. What interested me about this is when I look under sources, I see that Clarence has 2 sources attached to him. They're both Michigan marriages. I thought that's interesting that Clarence does not have a spouse, yet he has a marriage source attached to him. So I clicked on those and opened them. And I can click on the URL and go and view the index for this record. So there's Clarence's name at the top, and if I come down about 4 or 5 lines, I see spouse's name, Elizabeth. And then I see Newton and Hannah, Clarence's parents, but I also see Elizabeth's parents. So what happened here is that FamilySearch hinted to Clarence this marriage record. Somebody opened that and said, yes, this is a match. This record is about Clarence, and they attached it. But they truly missed the whole purpose for why we hint this. This record had all these additional names on it. It had Clarence's mother and father's name. Now, he already had those in the tree, but they may have been missing. But it missed his wife and his wife's parents' names, people that were not in the tree that could have been added to the tree from this record. So if I click on this review attachment, you can see here that the record is attached to Newton and to Hannah and to Clarence. This screen here, if you sort of think about dividing it in half, and the left half side of the screen is the information that's in the Michigan marriages record, and the right hand side of the screen is what we show in Family Tree. So there's Elizabeth. She's in the record, but she's not in the tree. We make this so easy to add her in. If you just click the add button, it just slides across the page, and he could attach this record to Clarence and then also attach it to her parents. Remember, hints are not a guaranteed match. They are just a suggestion. Oftentimes people think, oh, FamilySearch says this is a match, so I'm going to just attach it. Records are the crown jewel of family history, so please take time to read them. This is more of a marathon than a sprint. Thank you.